A good Erev Shabbos to everyone. Welcome. We are broadcasting, I should say sending out videos and not broadcasting because of the change in the clock makes it very, very difficult to be able to do this live in its proper time. So, I want to share with you a few words of Torah to hopefully get us through these challenging times. The Akedah, the binding of Isaac, is one of the most remarkable sections in the Torah for so many obvious reasons. The tremendous challenge that was involved for Avram to be able to do such a thing. But apparently the Torah is concerned not only with whether Avraham did it, but how he went about it. And there are great lessons for us to be learned from how Avraham went about performing the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. Torah tells us that after Abraham receives the command, what does he do? Vayashkem Avram baboker. He got up early in the morning. What does he do? Avram gets up early in the morning. He saddles his own donkey and he cuts the wood and he gets everything ready to go. You'd think he was going to to his kid's wedding and not his kid's sacrifice, right? All the enthusiasm. But that enthusiasm, the Rabbi tells us something very great about Avraham. Avraham really, let me sleep in this morning. I'm not in such a rush to do such a thing. Maybe God will come back to me in another vision, who knows, and cancel the whole thing. And, the wood, commentaries point this out, the wood, I'll buy the wood when I get there, I'll find wood. No big deal. Right? And I'll tell somebody to saddle up my donkey later, once the servants get up. Nope, that's not what Avraham is doing. He's showing his enthusiasm. He's showing his enthusiasm for what he's doing. He's not enthusiastic to sacrifice his son, but out of his great love for God, he is enthusiastic to fulfill the command of God. Avraham's reaction at the end of the Akedah also teaches us something. Or I should say what we see at the end of the Akedah also teaches us something about Avraham's reactions. At the end of the Akedah, the angel calls out to God and says, Avraham, stop. Al tishlach yadcha al anar. Leave the boy alone. Va'al taslo mu'uma. Do nothing to him. So the commentators note that it says, if you can leave the boy alone, obviously you're not going to do anything to him. It seems repetitive. So the commentators say that really Abraham wanted to go through with it, and when he couldn't go through, he couldn't fulfill the command of God, he wanted to be able to fulfill the command of the God somehow. So Abraham's next impulse was, well, if I can't slaughter my son, do exactly what God says, I'll take a little blood. Just a little blood, symbolic. A little symbolic sacrifice. God said, don't do that either. Valtaslo ma'uma, don't do anything. What we see from this is that Abraham in his enthusiasm was dissatisfied that he could not fulfill the command of God. He wanted to find a way still, find some outlet to channel his love and his enthusiasm for God and to fulfill this commandment of God, to find some outlet to channel that into. So he wants to nick his son, God says no, and then in the end, God sends him an animal to offer up as a sacrifice. Avraham is enthusiastic to do the will of God, even when it contradicts what he's feeling, because obviously no parent is going to feel anything but dread at the thought of sacrificing their child, but still Avraham has a love and an enthusiasm to fulfill the will of God. And when he is frustrated from fulfilling the will of God, his enthusiasm shows even greater as he looks for another way to fulfill. Maybe I can nick him, I'll find this, a sacrifice, I'll offer up an animal. We see from this the great enthusiasm that Avraham had. We all know that we have responsibilities. And we have to do those responsibilities. But the way that we do those responsibilities tells God a great deal about us, tells us a great deal about us. Do we say, I have a responsibility later, I'll do it later. When I get to it, I'll figure it out. Or do we prepare? Do we make sure, well, if there's a mitzvah to have a beautiful Shabbos meal, did I prepare a beautiful Shabbos meal? Did I set up my candles? Did I take time to learn? Did I set aside time to learn, despite the fact that I I couldn't really learn exactly when I wanted to. Did I find some time to learn at home? Whatever the case may be. Okay? Do we show that we are interested in going beyond merely, did I do it or didn't I do it? Where's our enthusiasm? And our enthusiasm is reflected in our preparations. When we prepare for Shabbos, we put on beautiful clothing and we clean the house and we set the table. When we prepare for Shabbos, we're showing that not only are we going to observe Shabbos, but we love Shabbos. When we prepare for a mitzvah, we can show that we love it. The frustration sometimes that we feel, I know certainly we feel this every Shabbos morning when we daven here together. We feel a certain sense of frustration. We can't sing and we can't socialize. And yet you see that people, they're always trying to sneak a little something. They can just hum a tune. Everybody's trying to get that, to show their enthusiasm somehow. Even though we're frustrated and not able to do exactly what God wants together, and all of us together here in the sanctuary and singing the songs and being together, we can't do that. We're frustrated by that, but we find a way. The key is to find a way somehow to do it. And when we go looking, when we go preparing, and when we go looking for a way to fulfill something, even when we're initially frustrated, that shows our enthusiasm. That shows our love for God. It's not just about the mitzvos, it's about the enthusiasm. And the enthusiasm is reflected in preparation, and the enthusiasm is reflected in the drive that we have, even when we're sometimes frustrated, the drive that we have in order to fulfill that which we should do. Our country stands at an important juncture. We've done what we need to do. We voted. And a lot of people, this year more than ever, a lot of people had to go way out of their way to vote. Early voting, mail-in voting, going to vote with masks on. We had to make extra preparations, and it wasn't as easy to vote, and we did it anyway. Why? Because we're enthusiastic about voting. We love the fact that we live in a democracy. We love the fact that we have the protection and the voice to be able to change things when we need to, and to be able to support that which we need to support. We have that freedom and that luxury. And when we went out of our way to vote this year, in the most difficult year, it shows our enthusiasm. We, at the same time, many of us are going to feel a sense of frustration. Listen, only one party is going to win. One candidate's going to win. Whenever that's announced, it's announced, and whoever it is. But if you're one of the people who's frustrated because it wasn't your candidate, you got to find other ways. How else can I make a difference? Okay, I voted and it didn't work. I'm frustrated. I couldn't make the difference I wanted to make. How else can I make that difference? How could I be involved in advocacy? Can I write letters of support? Can I call my congressman? Can I go to virtual at these days, but rallies? What can I do to foster the change, even just the way I behave to other people? What can I do to foster the change that I wanted to see and that my candidate did not bring? If we take that positive approach, that when we're frustrated, we don't riot, we don't scream and yell and burn things, we don't lose our civility. When we're frustrated, we find another way to contribute, another way to advance our goals. When we see that, then we know what really, it's not just that we voted, but that we cared. We can show our caring, even when our candidate loses, we can show our caring by committing ourselves to find a different way to support the goals that we had. These are the challenges that we have now as Americans, to find constructive ways, not for the victors won, but for the losers in this election, to find constructive ways to advance their agenda. Constructive ways, not destructive ways. When you go out and you burn and you loot and you protest and you shoot and all the horrible things that have been done and maybe horrible things that will be done, all of that shows you were just angry. It's all anger. It's not all anger. We have to show that it's constructive. Constructive behavior when we lose, our constructive behavior shows it wasn't about anger. It was about loyalty and love of country and responsibility. That's our challenge. And so on this Shabbos, while the election still hangs in the balance, in the ether somewhere, where only God knows who's going to win, but either way, whoever your candidate was, let's act like Avraham Avinu. We prepared, we showed extra enthusiasm, we really turned out this year. The voter turnout was unbelievable. right? Everybody made their preparations, and now that we might be frustrated that we didn't get the result we want, now is our opportunity to show that we're not selfish and we're not angry, that we're devoted, caring Americans who want the best for our country. Shabbat Shalom.